Damn, I used to look very young. Yeah. So, hello everyone. I hope you guys are having a good day. Grab a pretzel, sit down, and let's go through this talk. So today I'll be presenting, to be specific, how cross-chain native dApps will create the future of Web 3.0. So, let's see. Can I go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So this is today's agenda. First, I'll start with the problem statement. What's the major problem we have right now with the entire Web 3.0 ecosystem? What do we need to solve this? Let's put everything together into one solution, which is what Astar Network is trying to do, create the innovation hub on Polkadot network, and conclude with a bit of a surprise announcement for everyone. This is our team member. I am the CTO of Astar Network, and at the bottom we have our team members attending this conference. So if you meet these guys, please say hello. We don't bite, unless if you want to. Like, it's a bit weird, but I don't judge. And let's get started. So, first, what is the problem here that we're trying to address? See, the entire Web 3.0 ecosystem is stagnating if it's not dying. See, during the early years of blockchain, we get to see so many different innovations popping up everywhere. You get to see layer 2 network or Lightning Network. You get to see plasma layers. You see multi-signature wallets that's happening up in the early age. We see DeFi's for the first time. It seems so revolutionary. But when you make the same joke over and over again, it gets a little bit tired, right? Now we're putting Phi on everything. And which is interesting, but when the only value proposition is questionable, you start to wonder, like, what's really going on here? Why aren't we seeing new stuff? In the blockchain layer, we do see a lot of new projects popping up, especially in the Polkadot space. Here we have so many different parachains with so many great features, but are we seeing the same innovation happen in the dApp level? Now, the entire industry is old enough to drink, and I can make that joke because I'm talking in Berlin right now. And it's already getting a bit stagnating. So what are the factors that are contributing to this stagnation? Well, for one, we have tribalism, very rampant in this industry. We all know that every network has its unique value proposition, or at least it requires some sort of reason to justify itself being here. And yet people are still maximizing certain networks. They're trying to push one network, their network, apes together strong, great. But if we can work together, and accept that difference, I think we can do something much bigger. Another problem is the learning curve within this industry. Blockchain it's a very hard topic. Making a smart contract is hard. Trying to grasp the concept of a decentralized application is very foreign to so many people. Another problem is we don't see enough fresh ideas coming up. Right now, a lot of people working in this industry, in this space, we're all working in the same thing over and over again. We're seeing each other working in a different company, but we don't see people coming from a Web 2 space. Oh, excuse me. Much better. So yeah, lack of fresh ideas. It's a problem. Another problem is incentivization. How can you incentivize projects? What is the business model for decentralized application? If you want it to be truly decentralized, you would generally go for a token sale. But token sales are just once. It only happens at that moment. And it's kind of like a crowdfunding mechanism more than a business model. And also, if someone is purchasing a project's token to support them, tokens are not really stocks. You're not directly supporting the project just because you buy their tokens. That's like saying I'm supporting Leonardo da Vinci because I auctioned Mona Lisa. It doesn't really work that way. Another problem is interoperability. Right now, when we're communicating with another blockchain, we would generally go through a bridge. Those are trusted third-party providers, and they do come up with very clever ways to secure the system to an extent. However, when it comes to what we're actually bridging, it's still limited to assets. Can we really bridge something that aren't just tokens? Can we bridge something that matters? And finally, security is an issue. And as I mentioned with the bridges, it's within the same blockchain layer. You can make transactions in a trustless way. But if we're talking about interchain communication, then that becomes a problem. How can we trust this bridge to not mess up? Well, to be honest, a black box, really difficult, and this makes it difficult for projects to rely on that interoperability. Yes. Yep. So because of this, the world sees blockchain technology as a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. And for me, I don't think that's a huge issue in the sense that we're making a technology that's looking for a problem. Because, I mean, Twitter makes more problems than it solves. It's still here. Internet is more of a mass technology, and it is what it is. It's not here to solve one problem. And same with blockchain. It is a technology that we can leverage, we can use to make something better. So it doesn't have to be a solution for something. But the problem here is when projects are not creating sustainable value to it or being innovative, when they're rehashing the same thing over and over again. This will become a huge problem because utility in dApps, it's not a requirement for success. Now, projects are actually incentivized to not innovate. I mean, why would you be creative, make something new, if you can just fork an existing project, deploy it again, add a new icon, make a new UI, change the animal that it represents. Instead of an ape, just call it a lion or whatever. Then that way you can make millions, right? Easy money. But where is real value coming from, right? We're just seeing the same thing over and over again. And here, if dApps can only attract new users and new community through numbers. And here, when I say numbers, I'm referring to numbers like TVL, APY. If that's the only thing that they can use as a competitive advantage over others, then we're seeing a race to the bottom. Because now we get to ask ourselves, where is that APY coming from? Where is that TVL coming from? And how sustainable is it? And of course, I'm not trying to say that the Astar is squeaky clean, because we also understand how unsustainable this is. And that's the reason why we want to solve it. And how can we solve this? So first, let's talk about what we really need. What are the technologies that are available to us to address, to make an innovative ecosystem? Well, first thing, we need a new and superior smart contract language. With Solidity and EVM, there are inherent technical limitations that prevents them from making complex use cases. And it's also very easy to just rip off something that already exists, because everyone who programs in Solidity only programs specifically for blockchains. We're not seeing fresh ideas. We're not seeing people coming from new spaces here. And it's also Solidity syntax, not the best language. I never seen people wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I'm going to program Solidity. To be fair, no one says that for any language, but you get my point. Second part, a reliable method of interoperability. So right now, as I mentioned, bridges are still trusted third parties. And you can only bridge assets. So how can we really create this reliable method of interoperability where projects can have cross-chain functions in mind? Imagine what we can create if we had that capability. Instead of having to see if this makes sense or not, every bridge will have to have a new token symbol. And that's so complex, right? And third, we need to incentivize utility and innovation. How can users directly incentivize projects so that projects, if they want to sustain themselves as a business, they don't have to become a centralized organization that sells services. They don't have to do a token sale. How can we let people who use their solution directly support them? So let's go with the first one, superior smart contract. WASM, WebAssembly, is a better smart contract environment than Solidity and EVM. Solidity is a language, EVM, the runtime environment. Because, first, what is WebAssembly? It is a sandbox environment, a stack-based virtual machine that is backed by industry leaders like Apple, Google, Mozilla. They're all putting a lot of money and technology into this, which is why would we want to do this? Because WebAssembly is a virtual machine within a browser that allows you to execute code in a native level. And it is interoperable with different systems. And for blockchains, this is a godsend because now with Substrate, we have the contracts palette. And the best thing about WebAssembly is because it's a common sandbox and instruction, you can use various languages to compile down into WASM binary. For example, with the Substrate contract palette, we have Ink, the EDSL of Rust. And we also have Ask, the EDSL of AssemblyScript. So with this, we can encourage people to create something new because they can use languages that are not just specifically for smart contracts. They can leverage the language that they're more used to. And we can see more applications, something that's more high performance, also something more complex than what we already have. Next, second part, reliable interoperability, XCM and XMP, of course. I cannot be here without saying this, and for a good reason, because XCMP is a generic message instruction for cross-chain communication. And what's really powerful here is that XCM, within the Polkadot, XCMP specifically, the communication is facilitated by the Polkadot validators, meaning that it is as secure as Polkadot itself. And it has native performance. Parachains have native integration with it. And it is cheap, fast, just amazing. And specifically when it comes to parachains, you're not just bridging assets here, because, as I said, it's a generic message passing protocol instructions. So what you can do is you can actually pass features. You can call an extrinsic from your chain to another through XCMP. And in fact, we actually did that recently with Decoded Network, our sister network of Astar Network in Kusama, in order to extend our parachain slot after the first lease period was over. Instead of going through the governance process, we called the slot swap function from our network to Kusama relay chain. And that is just one simple use case, which we'll see more applications as this message protocol evolves. And lastly, how can we incentivize innovation? In Astar Network, we have a custom module called dApp staking. So what you can do is users can stake to a smart contract, and the developers will earn a passive income based on the amount they're staked. In other words, we are trying to create a decentralized incentivization mechanism for projects for creating something that provides value to its users. So the developers doesn't have to necessarily go through a token sale or become a centralized organization to sustain themselves. And the mechanism is quite simple. We have, if you go to portal.astar.network, you'll be able to see the dApp staking portal. But everything is on-chain. And right now it is still in progress. So we do expect to see more evolution coming up, upgrades coming up to this module. But generally, you see a list of dApps that are deployed on Astar Network. And users can use that dApp, see if it's something that they want to see more, they support, and they can stake to it. So let's put everything together into a single solution here. See, the thing is, I feel like the greatest asset of Polkadot ecosystem is its diverse parachains. It's not the technology that we have, although, of course, that's a huge part. But it's all the parachains that are here and that are watching online. And Astar Network, we want to bring the power of parachains to the hands of developers and enable developers to create dApps that has cross-chain function in mind. And how can we do this? Well, see with WASM, specifically the contract palette and substrate, has native types similar as substrate, and we can use chain extensions, which allow smart contracts to directly call custom XCM instructions and leverage the power of other parachains directly through our network. And because Astar Network has the dApp staking mechanism, we encourage people to create user-facing use cases so that the developers can be incentivized for their work. So one simple example you can think of is a privacy transaction dApp with Manta. Manta is a privacy parachain. They have ZK zero-knowledge proof for hiding their transactions. And we can use XCM to simply transfer to Astar from their network and back and forth. So we have like a shielded balances there. The thing is, we can create a hybrid lending protocol with Centrifuge, Kala, and Kilt. Centrifuge is a parachain that leverages real-life assets into DeFi world. And here, we can use Kilt, which is a decentralized identity network, a trust layer within the Polkadot ecosystem, and use Kilt DID for KYC, Centrifuge's real-life assets, trade them with the Kala's AUSD. Now let's get a little bit more complex here. Turn is a composable smart contract network which incentivizes developers based on smart contract calls. Here, see, so if developers are incentivized based on calls, then we can use that as a repository for smart contract functions, where developers are incentivized for open sourcing their utility contracts, library contracts, and Astar could be the contract layer which has the end user applications deployed on it. So we have two layers of incentivization going on here. Next, the universal NFT marketplace. So as you know, if you're in the substrate ecosystem, the NFT space is really confusing because we have so many standards. We have PSP34, we have ERC721, we have ERC1155, we have the Uniques palette, NFT palette, and we also have the actual Unique network and Affinity network with their own properties. But how can we have a single marketplace that allows people to trade them? Well, what if we can create a controller contract that shares the same interface as a generic NFT contract and use the remote transfers? So if you have ownership changes within Astar, that will be reflected on their network, meaning that people can still trade NFTs, sell them, auction them out, but still being able to maintain its properties. So let's conclude. As I said, the problem here is that we're not seeing enough innovation in this ecosystem. And if we don't do something about it, I feel like we're going to be heading downwards a lot. And it's really difficult to program smart contracts. It's really difficult to really leverage everything here. We don't see new ideas coming up. And there is no good incentivization mechanism. And how can we solve this? In Astar Network, we solve it by using WebAssembly smart contracts to allow users to leverage the XCM palette directly and create chains or dApps that has cross-chain functionality in mind, dApp staking to incentivize people to create something that actually provides value for the users. Yep, and this is how we are aiming to create the innovation hub of Polkadot Network and to create a better Web 3.0 with everyone here in this space watching from front and people who want to be in this space by giving them the power. And before I end, one more thing, a very big announcement here. So starting from now, Shiden has deployed the WASM contract palette. So Shiden became the first public parachain to support both EVM and WebAssembly smart contracts. Now you can just go to our website, use it right away, and I'm really excited to see what projects will come up. Now, thank you. And I'll end it with a good quote here. Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. So let's work together, right? All right, and of course, just like everyone else, we're hiring too. It's really hard to find good people, but it's great to see a lot of good people here. So yes, I am really excited to see what kind of new ideas you can find. Yep. If you're interested, please contact us or our team members. You can send us an email, info@astar.network. And yeah, thank you so much.